Hi, boys and girls. I'm going to read you a Christmas story. And the name of the story is The Biggest Christmas Tree Ever. And it's by Stephen Crowell and illustrated by Jenny Bassett. And the front of the book tells you the title of the story. And it also tells you the author, the person that writes the story, and the illustrator, the person that draw the pictures. This is the spine of the book. It holds the book together. The back of the book tells you what the story is about, and sometimes it have pictures and sometimes it don't. Okay, let's get started. The biggest Christmas tree ever. And how many of y'all have y'all Christmas tree already put up? Okay. Once there were two mice who fell in love with the same Christmas tree, but you had to see it to believe it. And look at the beautiful Christmas tree. And this is Clayton and Desmond. They friends. But both of them want the same tree. And so let's see what happened. And on this tree has some beautiful ornaments and lights and candy canes. So let's see what happened. Everyone in Mouseville loved Christmas trees. Every Christmas, families all over the town put up the biggest, most beautiful tree they can find. But first came Thanksgiving. The day before the celebration, Clayton, the house mouse, took a walk around Mouseville. He knew he should be thinking about giving thanks, but the chill in the air reminded him of Christmas. You know what? He said out loud. This year I am going to find the biggest Christmas tree ever. Not far away, Clayton's friend Desmond, the field mouse, said exactly the same thing. And see the houses, and on top of the cars, they get Christmas trees, bringing their trees home. And then this is Clayton, and this is Desmond. And look, you can tell it's kind of chilly, or the fall or the winter. And I think it's the fall because the trees still have leaves on them. And Clayton has a long sleeve plaid shirt on, blue jeans, and boots. And then you look over here at Desmond. Desmond have on a scarf, a sweater, long pants, and boots too. So it's chilly. That night, Clayton helped his mom and dad, his brother Andy, and his sister Trudy make a special cheese casserole and a nut pie for Thanksgiving dinner. Over at Desmond's house, Desmond and his brother Morris helped Uncle Vernon fix a big pot of vegetable stew and cheesecake. And see, they're helping their families with the Thanksgiving dinner. Everyone ate much too much. After dinner, Clayton, Grandma, and Grandpa sat in the living room holding their tummies and grumbling. They full, they'll grow, Lord, I ate too much. Over at Desmond, the cousin from across the road stretched out on Uncle Vernon's sofa and took a nap. And up here, this is Clayton family, and that's his Grandma and Grandpa, and they ate too much. And then this is Desmond's cousin, and Desmond taking a nap on the sofa. The following morning, Clayton woke up early. He wanted to be first at Clara's Christmas tree farm at the edge of town. That way, he could have the first pick of the biggest tree ever. Over at Desmond's house, Desmond tumbled out of bed with the same thought. And he said, well, we get up early. If I get up early, I could be the first one at Clara Christmas tree farm. And then I have time to walk through and look at the trees before anybody else comes. Clayton hurried over to Clara's, but it was hard to go very fast. He was still too full of Thanksgiving dinner. By the time he reached the Christmas tree farm, he was out of breath. He looked around. No one else was there. Moments later, Desmond arrived. He too was full of Thanksgiving dinner. He too had found it hard to hurry. He took a deep breath and stomached inside. Okay, and here go Clayton at Clara's Christmas Tree Farm. And here comes Desmond down the road. He's making it. He's coming down the road. And look at the road. Is the road, is it a dirt road or is it a paved road? It's a dirt road. Clayton walked down the rows of trees. Here was a nice one, but it was much too small. There was another one, but it was too short and had a crooked top. Over there was the third one, but it was average height and had big gaps between the branches. Struggling down another row, Desmond was having the same problem. You see the trees? And that is Clayton. Is it Clayton? Yeah. Clayton looking. And here goes Desmond walking through the trees. Clayton leaned against a tree. It was scrawny and not very tall. I never find a tree I want, he said. I better go home. And not far away, Desmond said, I never find a tree I want. I better go home. So they decided to go on home. See, that is Clayton sitting just thinking. When Clayton reached his house, it was only the middle of the morning, but he was still full and he was tired. He fell back into bed. When Desmond reached his house, he too went back to bed. And look at the curtains and the colors. Okay, Clayton has green in his room. And look at Desmond's room. Desmond has like a little red and like a little rainbow bedspread in his room. Clayton woke up for lunch and spoke to his dad. Dad said, go out this afternoon, walk to the far edge of the Christmas tree farm. The biggest trees are there. When Desmond woke up for lunch, Uncle Vernon told him the same thing. And see, this is Clayton sitting, talking to his dad. And he probably was telling his dad, you know, I went out early this morning to Clara's Christmas tree farm to find the biggest Christmas tree ever. And all the trees were small, short, or they had gaps in them. And Vernon and Desmond told his Uncle Vernon the same thing. So they told them to go to the edge of the Christmas tree farm. That afternoon, Clayton went out again. At the very same time, Desmond did too. Clayton walked to the far edge of the Christmas tree farm. He looked at one big tree after another, but none of them looked like the biggest Christmas tree ever. Down another path, Desmond was having the same look. Now look at the tree now. It's a big old tall tree, and it got gaps in it. Real big gaps. Starting to lose hope, Clayton peered around a very thick trunk. Desmond peered around the same thick trunk. They bumped heads and fell down. I bet you are looking for the biggest Christmas tree ever, said Clayton. I bet you are looking for the biggest Christmas tree ever, said Desmond. Why don't we find it together, said Clayton. No one said we couldn't, said Desmond. And see, they were walking around and around the tree, and they finally bumped into each other here. And then they decided, said, well, let's look for the tree together. Okay. They set out through the rows of trees. They looked and looked until it was almost dark. Just as they were ready to give up, there it was, a Christmas tree so big and so tall, it reached the sky. And look at the trees here. See how small they are? And then it move on. You see the big Christmas tree? It stands out. It stands out. How will we cut it down? Clayton asked. It's much too big for the two of us. Where will we put it? Desmond asked. It won't fit in your house or mine. Clayton and Desmond smiled. Our families will help us, they said together. And that is what happened. Clayton Dad and Uncle Vernon came without. Clayton Dad and Uncle Vernon came out with their axes and with help of Clayton and Desmond. They chopped down the giant tree. And see their father, their uncle and dad, they're holding up the axe so they won't swing back and hit them. So they are using safety with the axes. They are being safe. Both families called on friends and relatives, and together they loaded the tree onto 100 red wagons and pulled it to Clayton's front yard. There they decorated it with the most wonderful ornaments and colors. And look how big the tree is and how long it is. And then they had all the friends and the relatives to help them bring that tree to Clayton's house. And on Christmas Eve, with all of Mouseville celebrating around it, the biggest Christmas tree ever lit up the entire hillside. Clayton and Desmond shared a high five. We did it, said Clayton. All of us together, said Desmond. And look at their tree at night. Ain't that a beautiful tree? It is very beautiful. And everyone is around the tree. They're probably singing Christmas carols. And they already decorated with ornaments and stuff. And look at the sky. The sky is beautiful. The stars and the moon. And moon begins with the letter what? M. Moon. M. And that's our letter for the week. M. And that's the end of the biggest Christmas tree ever. And how many of y'all have put up y'all Christmas tree? I bet you y'all trees are beautiful. And if y'all parents can take a picture of it, take a picture of your Christmas tree and post it. Just take the lights and the ornaments. And do you put candy canes on it? Or do you put bows? You have so much stuff to put on it this year. And try to make you some ornaments. And chains. Paper chains. I'll show you how to do that. Okay? And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.